I believe we just got Rockstar Games, didn't we? Rockstar has announced that Red Dead Redemption is going to come to PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. And by PlayStation 4 it means 4 and, by extension, PlayStation 5. As they've just announced on August the 17th, the beloved Western experience Red Dead Redemption and its horror companion Undead Nightmare arrived together for the first time on the Nintendo Switch and modern PlayStation systems. So it's a PS4 build, but it works on PlayStation 5, so that's alright, that does the trick. So it appears as if it wasn't a remaster that this rating in Korea and these other things were alluding to, like the updates to I think it was the website or something like that. It appears as if that wasn't for a remaster, but rather this port over to more recent consoles and Nintendo Switch, which is a result for Nintendo Switch players, of Red Dead Redemption, simply because accessibility on those platforms for Nintendo Switch never existed. For PlayStation was dwindling. If you didn't have a PS3, you could basically go shove a jar up your ass. It was on PS Now for a while, but that required an internet connection, which for some reason it never works. Cloud gaming is just a bad idea, so it makes sense that they've now found a way to actually bring it to more recent consoles, even if that means they haven't really done anything to the game. So whilst the internet is being worked up over the idea of Red Dead Redemption possibly getting a remaster, as it turns out, something that makes more sense for Rockstar but perhaps less sense to a consumer is going to happen, and that's that they're going to bring Red Dead Redemption forwards to consoles that it isn't on, like Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, which means that you can play it on a PlayStation 5 as well. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to boast any improvements. But in case it does, let's Okay, I've accidentally started playing the trailer, that's no good. But if it does, let's read what it says on the site. Experience the epic Western adventure Red Dead Redemption and its groundbreaking zombie horror companion Undead Nightmare as both games come to the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 for the very first time in a single package. In a new conversion by Double 11 Studios, the Switch and PS4 versions bring the two classic experiences together again for both new players and original fans to enjoy them across modern consoles, including backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 5. They go off into detailing what the game's about, so it doesn't appear as if there are any improvements to sport, and it's quite a brief article, which I'll link in the description as well. So it would appear as if, yeah, no real improvements, enhancements, whatever. That's just something that was never promised anyway. That was just people online getting worked up over the idea that they were going to remaster or perhaps remake the game simply because it got rated again in Korea, or there appeared to be something going on behind the scenes with it. Unclear if that's a separate thing that they're now going to drop on us completely separately, but that would also make less sense again if they're going to be selling Red Dead Redemption in its original state on the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 by extension, and Nintendo Switch for $50. In my coverage of the rumours, I was covering it under the it might be a remaster, but it just might be something other, something lesser, something more underwhelming, simply because, well, first and foremost, nothing's a done deal until a publisher actually announces something. And secondly, this is Rockstar we're talking about. A remaster would make too much sense. But to be fair, I did actually believe that a prospective remaster might be possible. But upon seeing the announcement of the game being ported to the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch, and that's kind of it, with new languages, let's not forget those, I went, yeah, that tracks, that makes sense, that's pretty Rockstar, to be fair. I can't say that I'm especially disappointed. Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the definitive edition, certainly didn't make me yearn for more Rockstar remasters, and though this port has been handled by an entirely separate studio, at least as far as I can see, or as far as I know, based on the fact that it has a different name. But I can accept that the problem that Red Dead Redemption was beginning to face was that people don't really have access to the consoles where it's accessible as much anymore, so it now releasing on PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch as an extension, is decent. On Xbox, you've got it on backwards compatibility anyway, so that's probably why it hasn't been mentioned here, because it's already there, and that's a good thing. I do wonder where the PC port is. That game has long required a PC port, it just never got one. I do not necessarily understand why the price of Red Dead Redemption, as it was in 2010, has to be $50, which is what you'd pay for. Well, it's not quite full release price, but it's certainly getting back up there. Red Dead Redemption had certainly lost a little bit of value in that time. I don't think it has any business charging that sum when, in reality, all it's doing is proving that it's a bit pointless to just port the game and do nothing to it. You could have remastered it and then charged that sum, and people probably would have forked their money over happily. I'm sure plenty will, because it's Red Dead Redemption. So I don't know if that's a non-issue for Rockstar, but for me it's a little bit of an eyebrow raiser. I go, okay, so what's justifying that price tag on a 13-year-old game that is just being ported to more platforms with no improvements whatsoever? It's a really strange one, because I can appreciate bringing it forward to modern platforms so that it's accessible, especially with the release of Red Dead Redemption 2 nearly 5 years ago now. You want to have this game front and center somewhere as well, so people can experience the cohesive whole of those two stories. But in porting a 13-year-old game to modern consoles, you're not actually doing anything to the game to justify charging more. There's not a modicum of remastering there as far as I can tell. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they've upscaled the resolution at the very least. But of course, at the same time, you need to charge a fee that justifies how much got invested into the project that ported it to these consoles. And that's why remasters kind of happen. It's because it's the same experience, you've got to promise improvements to justify the price tag and therefore justify the project. So in that sense, it kind of stinks. I wouldn't say it's disappointing, because there's been no promises on Rockstar's end. It's all been rumour of a prospective remaster, and this is it coming to a head with just a port for PlayStation, specifically PlayStation 4, meaning you can play it on PS5, and Nintendo Switch. That's probably the only benefit, is that it's now accessible on those platforms, or at least it will be as of the 17th of August. There's no PC port. That's still nowhere to be seen. That's missing in action, but I doubt that'll ever come to PC now. It's just too good an idea. But excluding the two positives I can think of, Nintendo Switch release and accessibility despite PlayStation's dodgy backwards compatibility, allowing more people to actually experience Red Dead Redemption, all we're getting is a PS4 port of a PlayStation 3 title in 2023, where the PlayStation 4 is already outdated. Now, I understand it'll be playable on both, and that's kind of fine, but it's understandable why people will be somewhat underwhelmed by this, especially after all the rumours of what would have actually made sense, which is a remaster, that now that we're getting this would make even less sense. You see, the thing is, I'd take a port over a badly done remaster like the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, but at the same time I don't think I'd pay that much money for a 13-year-old game that I've already paid for and played a million times. So, I wish them the best of luck, but I'm going to consider this particular ticket closed until further notice. So, the rumoured Red Dead Redemption remaster is indeed just a port to PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch, and they want to charge $50 for it. It's releasing on the 17th of August, and there will be a physical version in October. Do with that information what you will. The comments section is going to be a bit nuts on this video. I can tell. I can tell already. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you soon.